is keeping Jimmy Garoppolo good or bad for the 49ers?
Overwhelmingly good. That's how I feel. I want to give them credit, praise. Now, it took me a while to assimilate what happened with Jimmy.
Right.
I, as you know, and we'll get to it later, never thought he would be on the team. Apparently, Kyle Shanahan didn't think he'd be on the team either.
Right.
And I bet you a big deal bottle of wine, which we'll talk about later. But it took me a while to take a few breaths and really think about what this means.
Me too.
Okay. So now, as of August 30th at a little after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I think I've calmed down and I've thought it through. And what I'll say is they didn't have a good backup quarterback.
No.
I mean, Brock Purdy is promising. God love him. He's promising. Sudfeld clearly wasn't good enough because they got rid of him. And in this day and age in the NFL, you need to have someone who can come in, because no matter what kind of quarterback you have as a starter, he's likely to get hurt a little or a lot. So this gives them big time insurance with a player who's played well for them. We both say that Jimmy is a C plus quarterback. Absolutely. But he's gotten them to the Super Bowl. He's gotten them twice to the championship game. And I know we say, I'm sorry, I'm coughing a little, that the team carried him, but he had to do quarterback things.
Right.
He had to do quarterback things.
He's a starting quarterback, and now he's their backup.
Yeah. So I feel that no matter how this happened, and it seems like the Niners stumbled into this, that they fully expected Jimmy to be gone. I think that the quarterback situation on this team is significantly better than it was a day ago.
I agree. Now, you could go full hindsight and say they never should have signed Sudfeld. They could have cut Jimmy Garoppolo initially, not signed Sudfeld, and got a different backup who's also good and cheap. But that didn't happen. And so they had this reality, and they went with the right choice at this time, which was to get rid of Nate Sudfeld and keep Jimmy Garoppolo. And it does make them better. Because what I was thinking was, I mean, had they done the first thing, they probably could have improved their offensive line this offseason as well. Okay, they didn't do that. I was thinking this team was going to miss the playoffs. But now when I calmed down and thought about what this move means, I was saying they were going to miss the playoffs because I was afraid Trey Lance was going to miss a couple of games and they would lose those games. Now they could win those games. So all of a sudden, you're looking at probably a playoff team in a conference that's wide open.
Yeah, and we've said before, it's odd that they would give Sudfeld $2 million. It's not our money.
Not our money.
Not our money. They wanted to give him $2 million. They thought he was a viable backup. They gave him a chance. He wasn't. They're out $2 million. The Yorks are out $2 million. We're not. So I don't have any problem with what they did with Sudfeld. And I'm sorry, that he's gone. But football is a brutal, brutal world.
Yeah, I mean, they gave him $2 million to go away. Some players aren't getting anything to go away.
Right.
So it could be worse.
$2 million to go away.
It could be worse. Now, again, if you think like this is a big distraction in the locker room, this could have been avoided if they, addressed their backup quarterback earlier. But they did it now. And at the time, this is the best backup quarterback. He's a very good backup quarterback. It's just there's all these like anecdotal things that could go on behind the scenes. We don't know how that's going to affect anything, and it may not happen at all. We just don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we don't know what it's going to be like in the locker room. And even though you're going to be allowed in eventually, you'll never know.
No.
The players either won't be there or they'll be on their best behavior. So you'll never know about that. I'm willing to say, now, Kyle bends over backwards to say what great friends they are, Jimmy and Trey, and how nothing's really different from last year. I don't actually believe that. I believe things are very different. One's a starter who used to be the backup. One's a backup who used to be the starter. And there may be things happening in the locker room. That's up to the coach to make this team come out as one team and play hard.
Yeah, I read somewhere that it was important for Trey Lance or his agent for him to have a higher base salary this year than Jimmy Garoppolo. So, I mean, of course, like you're the starter. You don't want your backup to be making more than you. But at the same time, like that's how That's how close they are. It's like we're good, but it's still business.
It's still business.
Still business.
And when Kyle, look, I believe he's an honest guy, but when he paints it, all wine and roses, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm often skeptical of things like that. What's he supposed to say? They hate each other's guts. They won't share their milk at lunch. I don't know.
Right. Because what he keeps saying is, yeah, I understand it's an awkward situation. It may not work for most people, but we're a big, happy family, and everyone loves each other here. It's
Yeah.
a funny thing. Everyone happens to love each other here, and we don't have those problems. So it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe.
I worked at a lot of newspapers, and I can tell you, everybody didn't love everybody.
Yeah.
There was some people I didn't love, and I still don't love them.
Yeah, and I'm guessing not everyone on this team loves everybody. I'm just guessing. I don't know that for a fact.
Yeah, right.
Before we go on to some more questions, let's just take a few questions from the audience. Corey, thanks for becoming a member. The One Reels on Getsu says, how many interceptions does Jimmy have to throw in prime time? How many big games does he have to choke in before these morons fans realize he's not it? Well, you know what? He's not playing anymore now. He's the backup, and he could be the savior of this season. So relax.
Right.
Kevin is a new member. Thank you. C. Turley says, if the Niners don't make the playoffs, who gets fired? Kyle or John? One of them would have to go. Man, you're already going to there?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We've actually talked about that a million times.
Yeah.
The season hasn't even started yet.
Yeah.
Let's
They're
give
probably going to the playoffs too. They're
and
really
also
good
let's
team.
not get ahead of ourselves.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves either.
There are things to talk about today
Yeah.
that are newsworthy today.
Thank you for your donation. I appreciate it. Sean says, hey, Grant, it might sound crazy, but ain't no lie, Jimmy. No, no bye-bye. Shout out to Travis and David Heaney. That was a NSYNC reference, I think. Yes.
I have no idea what that means.
Anyway, thanks, Sean. Big Tim 3 says, Kyle Shanahan, go ahead, Grant. Ask your questions. They love you, Mike. Kyle said my name today.
Iggy, I want to say I was aware that he said your name today.
Yeah.
That was the first time ever.
Yeah. Well, I think he may have, maybe it was a coincidence, but maybe he appreciated that I actually defended this Jimmy Garoppolo thing last night. Did you see my video explaining why I like the move?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, everyone else was attacking him today. Like he did something wrong. I actually think it made sense. It was a smart move. And maybe he actually used one of my arguments for it. He said, every year we've had a quarterback hurt here. I said that. So maybe he appreciated me today.
Iggy, I want to emphasize this. I love what they've done. I don't like it. I love it. So is that forceful enough?
I went from picking the team to win 9 games and miss the playoffs to win 11 games and make the playoffs. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. Yes.
Maybe Kyle will say my name. I don't know.
Ellis says, think the front office is already developing a game plan for the possibility of Cohn grandpups popping up and giving them hell in a few decades. I'll bet a bottle of Valicen that they're all, how do you pronounce that?
I don't know.
Valicen White, that they're all over it. Yeah. What happens if there's a third generation of Cohns?
Well, that's up to you.
That's true. That's true.
I have nothing to do with it.
That's right. Good point. Thank you, Ellis. We'll see what happens. Josh Neal, Narayan says, for your dad buying you the bottle of wine and you always keeping it real. Thank you, Josh Neal. I appreciate it.
I'm going to talk about that bottle of wine later.
Okay, so Jimmy Garoppolo is a C starting quarterback, but he's an A+ backup.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Is he the best backup in the league? Maybe.
I don't know the league, but I agree with that statement. Josh
says, as hectic as this offseason has been, got to give props to John Lynch for getting through the storm with Debo as well as the quarterback situation.
I agree. I knew John Lynch when he was a Stanford undergraduate. I don't know him now, but I have tremendous respect for how he handles himself.
The Reels and Gets You says, I have eyes and a good memory. How am I expected to calm down, Grant? I don't know. Take a deep breath. Take a walk. Toby says, how short of a leash will Trey be on if things aren't going well? I think it'll be like Jimmy last year. I think they won't pull him unless he gets hurt. That's the way I think.
Here's the thing. That's a very good question. I don't think Kyle knows yet the answer because it would depend on the game or the games, how they go.
Yeah.
If he throws picks, but they're not his fault.
True.
Sometimes receivers drop a ball.
Right.
We'd have to see what happens. So it's impossible to know what kind of a leash, quote unquote, he'd be on. Plus one very important thing. If they take him out and put in Jimmy, this is a major happening. Mm. And what does it mean? Does it mean that Trey would be out for that one game? What does it mean now? Jimmy is the starting quarterback. These would be momentous decisions that we could not talk about now. Plus, if you pull Trey, do you lose him? Does it crush him? Do you lose him? So the question is really good, but it's premature because we would have to see how things go.
It's true. And you just laid it out beautifully. Nope or Dope review says, Grant, did you win the Twitter war? I'm not sure which war you're referring to, but of course. Big Tim 3 says, seems like the front office has been pretty transparent all along. In my opinion, this press conference made me feel like Jimmy Garoppolo just wants to get paid. He's not worried about ball. He basically accepted defeat. Well, I mean, my question was, if your plan was to get Jimmy Garoppolo as your backup, why wasn't he in camp? And they pretty much said he didn't want to be in meetings. He wants to be a starter somewhere else, and he was holding out hope for that. And of course, they didn't want him to practice with that contract because if he got hurt, it would be guaranteed. So
right, he wanted. Yeah. Look, and it's to his credit that he wanted to be a starter somewhere else.
I would too.
I mean, you say no. I give up. I cry uncle. I want to be a backup. Yeah. You don't want a player like that.
I'm not even going to see what happens in preseason. Why wait? Screw it. Yeah. Big Tim says, seems like the front office. Oh, got you. Phil says, who do you think is better, Mason or Hasty? Do you think they made the right move to keep Mason over Hasty? Yes, I think Mason's better. I think Mason's really good. I think Mason could start for them. Okay, hold on. Josh Wyatt says, can Jimmy Garoppolo play guard or safety? If I don't see this, if not, I don't see this changing much. Better places to spend $6 million.
That's a fair argument.